Okay. So yesterday we have basically faced some issue with the S3 bucket. So the concept is basically in the real time we get the task. Let's say we have a different two AWS accounts here, account A and account B. Okay. So there might be a requirement like suppose we have S3 bucket in the account A which has data, and we have an application server running in the account B. Okay. This kind of situation will come in the real time, and if that situation, then we can use IAM role here to create access the bucket from the account B to our account A. Okay. So we don't need to give the access key and secret key there as I am a user basically. So we can use that cross account feature in the within the AWS accounts. Okay. If there are any legacy system like legacy applications which is hosted on the any on data center, in that situation we can use that the IAM user. So as of now you are clear about the right what is the users and groups, users and the roles. So
Yes, that's
so let me recap just basically quickly. So users basically users and roles, the major difference is in the users we will get credentials which is access key and secret key, and we can use that access key and secret key to log in from anywhere. There is no restriction. Either we can use our boto boto SDK or something library, or we can use from the any command line utility, your Windows machine or Mac machine or Linux machine, or your IDE tool basically Visual Studio something. Okay. And we have seen the configuration process how we can first we need to install the AWS CLI there, latest version, and we can configure by using AWS configure command. Okay. And we can also configure the multiple AWS accounts just by using hyphen profile options. Okay. And the other difference, and the other difference is like where it is. So for IMA users, we can use outside the AWS like a legacy system or something. But for the roles, we can use within AWS services only. Okay, not from the outside AWS, like from the any legacy system applications. So these are the main difference basically. And policies basically to control the user authorization system, which user we want to user or roles we want to give the permissions, either full access or any restricted access. As we have seen yesterday, we can just allow particular S3 bucket access or any route 53 service or lambda functions. These restriction we can manage through the policies. Basically there are lots of policies, and inside the policies we have seen customer managed policy and AWS managed policy. Okay. So difference between AWS managed and customer managed policy is basically we can't modify the AWS managed policy. We need to use as it is, which is pre-configured by the AWS. And customer managed policy, obviously, we can edit anytime according to our use case, simply. And user groups is basically if we have a, let's say we want to create any hundreds of users or something, and instead of granting the permission for the individual users, we can add different groups here like finance team, IT team or something, and on the group level we can assign the policy instead of giving the individual users, because it's a time consuming process. And in the real time cases, if you have any AWS account and you want access for the AWS account, okay, not for the any roles or any services, so in that situation organization use their active directory, federation. So they there from there we can raise the request for the AWS account. Okay. And if you need any particular service access, we can obviously go with the policy base, role based access basically. And to set up this, for now we have two AWS accounts. Okay. So on the account A we have S3 bucket, and we will create one IAM role here, and that this S3 bucket we will access from the account B, which is we have different AWS accounts. Okay. This situation will when we have application in account B and our S3 bucket might be in the different account. In that situation, we can use this cross account feature. So let's see the configuration basically. So I have collected this policy. So there was just minor missing we have done basically. So I just tested yesterday. So we can use this kind of. Let me explain you on this. Okay. So what we can do is we can create one IMA user roles here. Now users and roles clear, right? What is the difference?
Yes, it's clear.
So let's create one role here. I have just added some notification notes here. So in account A, which is we will create this one this role. Let me give the another name. Let's say prod. Okay, and just click on role, and we need to select this one here. Okay, because we are going to give the access for the another account. Okay, so this supports to have access from the different AWS accounts. So after selecting these options, just scroll down. Here it will ask like this account or another account. So just click on another account, and we have another account which is account ID is different. Okay, this account ID we will get from here. If you just click on this your username, you will get from there here account ID. Okay, you can just simply copy it. So I have two AWS account now. One I log in here, and another one I log in incognito mode. Okay, and I just copied the this account ID here, and you can just paste. Okay, account B basically you can consider, and just click on next. Yesterday I have already created the policy, so let me explain you that. You can just select the policy and simply click next to attach, and you can give the role name, this one, and just click on create role. Just search the role name. Okay, so we have this role now. So if just click on that role, so we can see the policy. Let me expand it. It's basically the policies. I suppose let's say I have user, so I can just list out the all the buckets. Okay, but I can perform this action like put object, get object, or delete object. Only these operations I can perform only this bucket. Okay, I will not perform on the all S3 bucket. I just restricted to only particular bucket, which is we have AWS Guruji. Okay, if you have in the real time different bucket, you just need to replace the bucket name only. Okay, what is the meaning of star is basically this ARN will allow for the bucket level, and the star is basically slash star is it will allow to access all the objects inside the bucket. You can perform these operations, get, put, delete, and you can also add other permissions like delete bucket, create bucket, or something. You just need to just click on edit and simply give the comma this way, and this way you can just add the permissions. Okay, so policy is very simple. So just now, so now we have created the roles here. Okay, we have in the account A. Now we have S3 bucket, this one, and we have some data here. Okay, and now let's go to the account B. Okay, which doesn't have any S3 bucket, this one. Okay, let me refresh here. So as of now you can see there are no buckets in the account B. Okay, you can see here. So how we can
Sì,
switch the roles basically? You will find the options from here under your
aspetta.
username. Okay,
Già non avevo quello con una grande. వదినా హలో.
Hello. Okay. Yeah. So we are in the account B now. Okay. So how we can switch to the account A to access the S3 bucket? Just simply click on your username. Okay. You will find the switch role option here. Okay. As of now, you can see there are no any S3 bucket. So let me switch here. Switch role, and here we need to enter the all the details which where is the S3 bucket created, basically hosted. So let's go to that account. Okay, I have collected this information for the account A. Okay, so you can just get this account A account ID. Okay, and simply enter here account ID, role which we have created. Let's go to the account A. Okay, this role we have created, we can just simply copy this role name and go to account B, where from where we want to access. Okay, and just give the role name here and simply click on switch role. So you can see here we have successfully switched to account A S3 bucket okay service, and you will see here the role name basically and your account ID. And as of now you can see we have access to the S3 bucket which is hosted in the account A. So you can perform the operations whatever you have permissions, basically. As of now we have just grant the access for the single bucket, okay, not for the all bucket. So in the real time you should configure the same way, because giving the all S3 bucket access, it's way not feasible, basically for the security risk. You can list out the all S3 bucket, okay, and you can perform the operations, like we can just, let me try to upload the any files.
This one full permission, only read write permission, sir. How?
Based on
This
the policy we have attached. As of now, as I explained, where it is in the policy, we have only allow for the get object, put object, and delete object. We have so according to your policy configuration, we can perform the operations. Is that your question?
yeah, got
Okay.
it.
Yeah. So now let me try to upload the files. Either you can upload single files or multiple file. Okay, just clicking this way and just select and upload. So this way we can just find perform the operations. And to download the files for any single file, okay, you can just simply click on that, and you can just simply click on this download. Okay, now let me try to access another bucket which we doesn't have permissions. It should give the error like access denied. Let me try to access this bucket, and let me upload the files. Just select these files and try to upload. Okay, it should give the error basically. Yeah, you can see. So it's basically access denied. So this way, for the best security practices, we can just grant only single bucket access by using this policy. Let me send you this policy basically, so you can just have a practicals on your machine. Any questions on this accessing cross role? So based on your access policy, you can access other services as well. And to switch role from here, you can just use this option, switch role. And if you want to go back to your normal your account, original account, just click on this switch back. So you can just simply bring back to your original account. Yeah, as of now you can see there are no S3 bucket. Okay, so this way you can configure another account S3 bucket. Any doubts on this cross account access? It's very simple, right? Just you need to configure the source account, basically source AWS account. You need to configure this one role, basically I am a role, and with this policy, and you can mention this specific bucket if you want to give the access, okay, for particular bucket. And that's it, that's all. And from then, from the target, from where you want to access that bucket, you need to get this two parameters, basically account source account id and role name, basically. And you can use that switch role feature to switch to access the bucket.
Okay, I have a question here. Like, suppose we have EC2 instance in one account and S3 bucket in another account, and we created role and attached it to the EC2 instance. But in the policy, how we can mention for the cross account?
You want to let's say now we have two account, right? So in
Yes.
your account, you don't have any.
EC2 permissions to access to from the another account.
Let me try that. So same way, you can just need to modify your permissions, basically. Let's try. So let me add one more policy here for the EC2. Okay, just simply you can add the here and just search Amazon EC2. You can see here Amazon EC2 full access. Okay, just simply click on that and attach that policy. Sorry. Once policy attached, let's try to use that switch feature. Okay, let's it's come in the role history now because we have already accessed it. Just simply click on that. Let's try to access the EC2 instance. Just click on the EC2 service. Okay, yeah, you got it, the access, right? Because in your account there is no EC2 instance running. So this way you can just configure the policy and use this cross role account access. If I just click on switch,
Uh,
yeah.
Actually, my question is, we have EC2 instance in one account, and we wanted to access S3 from that EC2 instance. So we have to attach EC2 role to that EC2 instance particularly, right?
So from EC2 instance, you want to access your
S3.
other account S3 bucket.
Yes. So we need to mention accounts detail in that role, or how it is?
Let me bifurcate here. So you have account A, okay, and in that account you have EC2 instance,
Yes.
EC2, and you have account B where S3 bucket is hosted.
Yes.
And now let's say you have an application running in the this is EC2 instance, right? And from there, this application should access this S3 bucket data. In short,
Yes. Yes.
okay. So in that case, we need to create a same role policy, but in the different way because you want to access data from here to here. Let's try that. So we are in the original account now, where EC2 instance is hosted, and we have this S3 bucket role, okay, and we have a S3 bucket policy here. But in that case, we need to create one more policy where the S3 bucket ARN should mention, basically. So from let's try to create on log into your account. Let me switch back, and we can create one S3 bucket here.
Okay.
Yeah, this situation might come in the real time if they have multiple AWS accounts and bucket hosted in different account. Okay, so let's create one S3 bucket here. and select the region and simply just disable this option, block public access, and just simply create. Okay, bucket name is already exist, or just paste. If it's in the same account, then obviously we can just simply attach the role to that instance. It's a straightforward. But we have situation like we have S3 bucket in different account. So we have S3 bucket here now, account B. Okay.
But I have a question that do IAM user can give permissions to root user? Is it possible
I am a user can.
to give access to the miss? IAM user has S3 bucket, right? So the IAM user can give permissions to root user. Is it possible? Because we
No,
have S3 bucket in
root user is
IAM, right?
your main master user actually. So
Yeah,
in the real time cases, you should not use your root account basically. For we are doing
right,
our personal account and we are doing practice, so that is fine. But in the real time
mhm,
cases, you should not use your root account. If that's get
right.
compromised, then your business will impact due to any spamming activity or something. So in that
Mhm,
situation, you can create additional users there with the administrator access, and you can use that as a practice or something.
mhm,
Yeah.
okay.
So in the real time you should not use a root account, and obviously we will not get that root account access in the real time. So there is a different concept, power user basically, if you heard about it. Let me go to policy. So what is the difference between IMA administrator user and the power user basically? Power user has the same access to the similar to the administrator access, okay, but he can't manage the users basically. He can't create users and the grant permissions. So these are the difference between power user and administrator user in the AWS. You can find the policy here. If you just select power, type power here, you can see here power user access. If so let's say in the use cases like you want to give access someone, but you don't want to give access, so he can create another administrator or any users basically. So in that situation, you can use this policy, power user access. So he can't create any additional users there. So for the practice purpose, you can try on your own machine. So let me know with this power user access.
And also there is one more option like boundaries. We can mention like what he cannot do. We can mention it in the
Yeah, inline policy basically. I forgot to explain yesterday.
no boundary option is there, right?
In yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that is for the authorization. We want to restrict within the some areas basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and there is you can see here the create inline policy, which is, let's say I give this user full access here, but if I set the create inline policy here, I still give the access as a standard full S3 bucket access. But if I switch, create one more inline policy here for the specific bucket, so that is basically the boundary basically. So he has a let's say for the real time example, you have a complete society access in your building premises basically. But in that you can walk anywhere or something, but you have only your own flat access there. You don't want you can't access any member flats there basically. So that is the concept for this inline policy basically. If you have RDS full access, but if you want to in that RDS, if you want to give any specific permission additionally, like he can just reboot the RDS or start the RDS. So in that way, you can set up in the inline policy. So he can just access only those actions. You can set up a boundary basically with the inline policy.
Maybe I haven't been clear. Just one thing, like let's say we have a root user and we have created one power user, right? So power user has created its S3 bucket, and root user has its own EC2 instance.
Hmm.
And from that EC2 instance, I want to access the power user's S3 bucket. So shall that power user can give access to root user? Is it possible?
See, root user has by default all the access. You don't need to give any specific permission to that. He has a
Okay.
master user. So as a your Windows machine, if you have an
Mhm.
administrator user, so he can access anything, right? As he has
Right.
a master user. So
Mhm.
you don't need to give
Okay.
any additional permission to root user basically.
Okay. So for normal user, if it's not power user, then also root user can access any EC2 instance from the IAM user, right?
Yes, he can manage anything.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
To perform any specific action on these services, a role needs to be created, right?
Yes, as a best practice, we should not use users here because it's a get credentials, so it can be a security risk. So if you have any a task like you want to access within AWS accounts, so obviously you should go with the roles only, not the users. So when you design basically create IMA roles, so it will ask the questions like use cases basically. So you will see here lots of services. So if you have a use case for the EC2 instance, you can select this one. If you have a Lambda function use case, you can select this one, or any other services you can select from here. So within AWS service, you can use roles, not the users, as a best practice. And you can give the restricted permissions by creating the any custom policy. If you just click on this policy, create policy, it will give the basically graphical wizards. First you can select the like, so let's say EC2, and you can select the operations like if you want to give any specific permission, like describe EC2 instance or list or reboot or something. So according to that, you can just grant the permissions. So in the real time, you should not give the full access for any users basically, until and unless there are certain approvals you got that user. Otherwise, it might be a security risk. So you can just that user who are the raising the request for any particular users or roles, he should raise with the proper requirement and the approval process. In the real time, there might be a account owner approval required, project manager or something, or AWS account owner who first need to approve the request, and then only you should give the access based on the requirement. Like someone raising the request for the read only permissions and you are unnecessary giving the full access, that actually doesn't make sense, right? Because if that user doesn't know any features and he accidentally terminate the service, so there might be a different situation, right? And there might be a questions like if he raised the request for the read only permissions and you granted full permissions, so it's obviously escalation for you in the real time. So we need to follow the process in the real time basically. Giving the role access and the user access in the real time, it's a very critical task, because there are lots of organization policy there settled, so we need to follow that policy only. If someone directly come to you in the chat box and ask, hey, just can you give me one users and roles with this blah blah permission, so you should not directly blindly go and create it. You should follow the company policy basically, whatever the process are there in the org level. It might be a different, it's a depend on the company and the project policies basically. So you should first follow that. So in the you might create one Jira ticket over there and get the approvals, or in the there might be another tools, service now or something in the project. So from there you can get the approval from the respective persons like account owner or something. Only that after that you can create the users or roles here. Users obviously no one suggests to give the credentials to share someone, and if there are requirement within AWS service, so we can use roles here. And in the org level, they use one password or last pass to share the any credentials if you want to share.
And one more question I have, like suppose user is having access to creating the load balancer, but can we restrict him, like for he can create only one or two load balancer in the numbers? Can we restrict that person?
Numbers, I'm not sure, but we can, as I said yesterday, you can configure the CloudWatch events for the any specific service basically. So you can get the triggers. But I think there are some process like I haven't worked on, but there is a process like in the AWS account. You can set up the configuration like creating any resources services in the AWS account. First, that user need approval basically. So let me type here how to
Okay.
approval during service creation. There are some features actually in the AWS. Just heard, but I never tried that. How to get approval during service creation in AWS. So any user has the permissions. Okay, he directly can't create any resources. First, it will generate one approval email, and that approval link will go to the account owner or any team leader basically who has a working as a cloud architect role or something. So he will get one email with the link. If he approved your request, then only you can launch your services basically.
Okay.
Yeah, this way you can just restrict basically. Without approval, he can't create any services. So let me note down this question so I can just go through that.
So, like, suppose a person is creating resources using the Terraform, and he is creating like a load balancer. One load balancer he need, but instead of that, he just did 10 by mistakenly. So, like, so AWS should not do that. Like, he can create only one load balancer. There, like, I think there is a service, but I heard some time back, but I don't remember actually.
Yeah, this way I know there is a approval process in the AWS accounts, and to restrict only he can create only single AWS load balancer. So you need to check basically if there are any options are there. Let me check and
Is there any service like we have in Kubernetes, like resource quota limits?
in AWS. Not sure about the Kubernetes, but in AWS we have a account level quota basically, not the user level quota. If you,
Okay.
if you just click like a service quota here, service quota, and just open a new tab. This is for the account level basically, not the user level. So if
Okay.
you click on any services like for the load balancer, let's say EC2 instance here, you can check the quota here. And if you want more quota, then you can just simply click on that particular option and you can request increase level here, account level.
Okay.
But that is for the account level, not for the any individual user.
Okay.
Yeah, let me check on this on the later after the session. There might be a we need to check basically.
Okay.
Also, I have note down your another questions, which is how to access from one account to another account, right? So basically, in another account, we can create the roles and we can assign the same process like we have just shown for the S3 bucket cross account access. So in tomorrow's
Okay,
session,
I'll try that.
yeah, also definitely we can cover that in tomorrow's session. It's basically a role-based model, basically, and in the bucket policy or role where we are creating to access the S3 bucket, we need to give the S3 bucket ARN in that. Yeah. Let's Yeah, this one we can cover in tomorrow's session. So
Okay, no problem.
on IMA part, any other questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then let's check for the data sync basically. In real time, you might get the questions like if you have a two different account AWS, S3 bucket. Let's say here you have one S3 bucket and account A, okay, and you want to migrate the data from one S3 bucket to different AWS account or different S3 bucket basically, right? This might be a situation where you want to sync the data or migrate data from one bucket to another S3 bucket. You might got this questions or task in the real time, okay. So there is a inbuilt service from the AWS side, so you can use that. There are multiple ways. Either you can just, if you have a single data, very minimum data size, like one within 1 GB or MB or something, so you can just simply access that bucket, okay, here, and you can just simply download the data and you can upload, log into that particular account, and you can just upload, okay. But that is not a feasible way or good practice basically. There might be chances you will lose, miss any data to download and upload, okay. And another way is you can use AWS CLI command line utility. S3 command, copy data from one bucket to another bucket. So there is a one command basically to sync the folder from one bucket to another bucket. So you can use command line this way, okay. You just need to give the source bucket name and your target bucket name here, as you can see the command. And if you want to exclude any particular folder or file format, you can just use this option, exclude, okay. So this is the one more options apart from the console. And the other one is like you can use data sync service, which is more feasible to set up basically. So let's say open the data sync service. Let me stop.